Thank you, Rabbi Telton. Thank you, Rabbi Putman, for this privilege to be here tonight to address you, and of course to be here by the Ohel. Friends, the world is baffled by Lubavitch for many reasons. Well, first of all, here we are 25 years later, since Gimel Taamuz. No further comment necessary. Lubavitch has experienced exponential growth. Today's young shluchim never saw the Rebbe physically. And his devoted soldiers, the ends of the earth. How does this happen? One mystery. Another mystery. The fact is, friends, there's never been a Hasidic group, a dynasty, a movement that's so Rebbe-centered like Lubavitch and this generation, our generation. So, one might conclude, justifiably, hearing how Lubavitchers talk about the Rebbe, no move is made without the Rebbe's guidance or blessing. One would conclude that all Lubavitchers think, behave the same way, monolithic, following the leader. As you well know, I think it's fair to say that Lubavitch is the most, individualistic, creative group of people the world has ever seen. A young couple comes to a town with virtually no formal training, their confidence, their creativity, their originality. No two shluchim have the same style. As we heard moments ago, the notion of differing opinions, we sure do. So how do you reconcile that? Everything is a Rebbe, and yet your shliach, a Lubavitcher, is a highly opinionated he or she and very individual and individualistic in their entire life, in every aspect of their lives. So friends, I'd like to answer that by pointing out the following. If I were to ask you, simple question, we're coming from Shavuos, today is the last day of the month of Sivan, tonight is Chodesh Taamuz. So you all know that the opening words of the Ten Commandments are, I am God, your Lord, who took you out of the land of Egypt. Now in English, the word you could be said to an individual or to many. Not so in Hebrew and in other languages. So the question is, the Torah speaks here, God is talking in the second person singular. It should have said, I'm speaking to the multitudes. So I ask you the question, what would you answer? Why in the singular? I can read your mind. I know what you're thinking. The obvious answer. Because God's speaking to each individual, not just a collective commandment to the group. He's talking to every one of us. Strangely, Rashi, who wrote a commentary, the most basic commentary possible, doesn't offer that explanation. Listen to Rashi's answer. And this is the most basic answer possible. God speaks in the singular because God knew that soon after the giving of the Ten Commandments, the Jews would betray him and worship the golden calf. He was giving Moses then a defense for the Jewish people. You were just talking to me, not to them. And in fact, Moses uses that argument because later on, when God expresses his anger, displeasure, and so on, Moshe Rabbeinu Moses says, why are you angry at them? And Rashi says, why are you angry? They're worshiping the golden calf. His argument is, but you were just talking to me. So God deliberately uses the second person singular, you, Moses, so he can use that argument and defend the Jewish people. Which is beautiful, it's wonderful. But for heaven's sakes, friends, this is a joke, a game, a play on words. because he used the singular? I mean, God's talking to everyone. I mean, this is the most important statement in all of Torah. In fact, the opening words of the Ten Commandments include the entire Torah. So, God's talking only to Moses? He's not. He is talking to everyone. Now friends, we need to really appreciate the answer to this. We need more time than we have tonight. But I just perhaps will give you a sense of the answer.
Right behind you, right.
There's a part of Moses in everyone. As Rashi himself points out in Pashas Chukas, which is always the Shabbos after Gimel Taamuz, the leader of the generation is like the heart, the head, the brain, and embraces all the souls of the generation. So the point is, friends, had the people heard the Ten Commandments with the Moses within them, they would never have worshipped the golden calf. If they would have achieved that degree of oneness and unity with each other and with Moses, they wouldn't have panicked. Their faith would have been stronger. That's how it will happen, because they panicked that he wasn't coming back. And moreover, and here's the critical point, in their oneness with each other, embodied in their leader Moses, it would have been unthinkable to worship anything other than God himself. I'm taking a risk now because I want to share a very deep idea based on this. We're at the Ohel, which is a place of meeting of souls, so I'm confident in some way that I'll be able to convey this, notwithstanding the limitations of the physical limitations. I would assume everybody here has been around Chabad for a little while. You know one of the big revolutions of Chabad is Tanya. You see, before Hasidus, before Tanya, the purpose of life, why do mitzvahs, the purpose of creation was fairly straightforward, as expressed in the Mishnah and countless sources. Very simple. We're here to earn a place there. You do mitzvahs to earn your place in the hereafter. You don't sin because you don't want to get punished. Simple. As for what does God have in all of this? The classic answer is nothing. Of course, God's perfect. It's all for man's benefit. Huge revolution of Chassidus, Tanya. If you're one day in Chabad, you would have heard this. You heard the rabbi speak once? You'd have heard this in one way or another. In one guise or another. You would have heard, and you know this, that the purpose of creation is God desires that we make this world a home for him. Huge revolution. God can desire. How does a perfect God desire? Doesn't that mean he lacks something? So Chassidus explains that God's beyond perfection and can choose to need, and he did. And he needs you and I to do the mitzvahs to make this world a home for him, where one day he will be revealed, Mashiach, heaven on earth, God's kingdom established on earth. That's pretty much the revolution of Chabad Hasidus till the Rebbe. And the Rebbe comes along and says, you know what? God wants us to make this world a home for him. That's not the end goal either. That's not the ultimate objective. You build a home, friends, for what? To have a home? The purpose of your home is to live there with your soulmate, with your wife and children. That's why you want the home. And so the Rebbe explains exquisitely in Maimer after Maimer, discourse after discourse, as he pulls back the final curtain on the face of God. And the Rebbe explains that the ultimate purpose is you and me God wants the deepest connection to you and me, and that can only happen when He sends the soul down to the world, and we do what we have to do, the mitzvahs and teshuvah, and make the world a home for God. And then what? Then He's connected to me in the deepest way. It's about us. And about us means this, friends. I'll put it to you this way. The great overarching objective is that in this world, we reveal that all Jews are one with each other and one with God in the deepest way. Here, as we are souls in bodies, we are in essence all one. It's all one Jew, and we're one with each other. That's Mashiach. In other words, if you can bear with me for another few minutes, when God conceived of the Jewish people initially before creation, you know what He thought of? What He thought of? What He conceived within Himself? One Jew. One soul. And that soul has kind of undergone a breakdown without being depleted ever since. But we all trace back to this one soul. We really, each one of us is this one Jew. The leader of every generation embodies that oneness. And that's the whole objective, is to live that and reveal that we are one. And at the core, it's one soul. I'll leave you with this, friends. It's out of Gimel Taamuz. I want to say thank you.
Go back there.
I want to say thank you to the Rebbe.
Go back there. You're going to be in the way.
Things. You know, just coming here at the airport, I meet a couple from South Africa. I don't think they're here now. They told me they're coming later. They've been in Montreal for a wedding, and we're standing waiting for whatever, the luggage to come up. Chabad, yeah, Chabad, and his first words were, you know, thank you to the Rebbe for where we are and who we are. Thank you. So I want to say this thank you, friends. You want to see God? That's the purpose. God's revelation. Where do you see God? You see God in the eyes of every Jew. And when you connect to another Jew, and another Jew does a mitzvah, that is the greatest revelation of godliness possible. We, about all of us, and really it's something that everyone wants to share with everyone, the privilege. You put on film with another Jew, that moment his soul is revealed. That's what it's all about. That's the face of God, because the souls are all part of God. We're all part of Him. And the revelation of His presence on earth means that every Jewish soul is lit up. That's what it means. And with every soul, every spark, you are touching the very face of God. And no effort in the world is too much to touch one Jew once and touch that soul. So friends, then, the Ten Commandments, the opening words of the Ten Commandments. I am God, your Lord. And Rashi, the expositor who wrote the commentary for every Jew, for the child within us, to the great sage, explains that who is God talking to? He's talking to every Jew, and He's talking to the essence of every Jew. And who's that? What's there? What are you going to find at the core of every Jew? That we're all one. And that's Moses. That's what the Rebbe is. We're one with each other because we're one with God. Verily a part of Him. So we come to the Ohel, friends. This is what this means. We are plugging into our own deepest source. Coming out of the Ohel, we're to inspire to love another Jew and reach out in a way we haven't before. And that means to live deeper truer. To live deeply and truly is to find within here, naturally, you, every Jew. It's no sacrifice then to reach out, to share. Tzedakah isn't difficult. Opening my home isn't difficult. Taking my tefillin with me wherever I go isn't a chore and an obligation. It's the greatest privilege. I'm connecting to another Jew, to the essence of my own being, to Hashem. I light up a soul. That's heaven on earth. That's what God desires. So the mystery of Lubavitch, Rebbe, and so individualistic. Yeah, that's the point. Because when you're plugged into the source, you become alive. The more the finger's connected to the brain, the more sensitive and alive the finger is. The more the body is alive and connected to the heart and the head, the more every limb is on fire, sensitive, alive. Not a contradiction. It's the same truth. So the deeper we're connected to the Rebbe, the deeper we become alive. And that means the deeper and more naturally we will connect and love every other Jew unconditionally. That's what we're coming here for. That's the Rebbe's nachas. Yes, I'm sure we're going to go there with our list of needs and blessings, and by all means, right, that the Rebbe will do what he can to be the channel of blessings for all that you need, health and children and paras and livelihood. You want to give Rebbe some nachas too, right? And what's the nachas? Come out more alive. See the soul in the eyes of your fellow Jew. Live truer. Oneness. Sharing the privilege. It's enough Gimel Taamuz. Enough 25 years. Inexplicable as it is. We got marching orders. We know what we have to do. May Hashem grant, friends, that everything you've come here for will be fulfilled. You'll see it with your own eyes and touch it with your own hands. And we merit the ultimate blessing. The ultimate blessing is God at home on earth. And we're all His soulmate. Every one of us. That He shares this world with us in the most intimate and deep way. And the us is at the same time each one of us as an individual, and at the same time all of us as one. May we merit that today without a moment's delay. Amen.
It's now my honor and pleasure to introduce Councilman Chaim Deutsch. I have not met Mr. Deutsch yet. I hope you don't mind. I did not memorize the paragraph of introduction, so I will read it. But it sounds like you have many interesting accomplishments, and God should grant you continued success and health in all your endeavors. And I have your attention, please, as I make this introduction. Councilman Chaim Deutsch is a lifelong Brooklynite, proudly representing the diverse communities within the 48th City Council District. Councilman Deutsch has been a successful and tireless advocate in helping those in need of assistance. From seniors who are homebound or infirm to kids who are at risk of drug addiction, alcoholism, or abuse. Councilman Deutsch has taken a personal interest in countless sensitive cases with very positive results. Councilman Deutsch offers exceptional constituent services in his district office, in case anybody is interested in moving to the 48th district, providing free legal services. Anybody interested? Free entitlement services, free landlord-tenant counseling, free tax preparation, and much more. That's very impressive. He is also chairman of the Jewish caucus in the New York City Council, which is a very important position, and for that reason we are very happy and proud to have you with us today. And I may say that his greatest accomplishment is that he has been married to his wife Sarah for over 25 years. They have 5 beautiful children and 2 adorable, of course, grandsons, Ezra and Alexander. Councilman Deutsch, it's a pleasure to give you the podium. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. It's really a pleasure to be here. I have to confess that this is the first time I'm here. I'm a Kohen, so I didn't think I'm able to come to the Ohel. But Rabbi, thank you for those kind words. When I come home, my wife tells me the same thing. Do I recognize you? She tells me, do I know you? But, you know, we have long hours advocating and working for the Jewish community and beyond here in the City Council. Let me first begin, like the Rabbi mentioned, I am the chair of the New York City Council's Jewish Caucus, and Rabbi Gutman, my good friend, invited me to a Hanukkah lighting on Fifth Avenue. So before I went up on the lift that goes about 100 feet up in the air, Rabbi Gutman comes over to me and tells me that, okay, so you're the chair of the Jewish Caucus. So this was two and a half years ago. And I said, Rabbi Gutman, I'm not the chair of the Jewish Caucus. And I was thinking to myself, as an Orthodox Jew in this progressive city, who would ever know that a firm person would be the chair of the Jewish Caucus? So Rabbi Gutman says, no, you're the chair of the Jewish Caucus. I said, Rabbi Gutman, I'm not the chair, so please don't announce me as the chair of the Jewish Caucus. So we get up to the lift. Rabbi Gutman takes the mic, and it says, I'd like to introduce to you Councilman Chaim Deutsch, the chair of the Jewish Caucus. Let me tell you a little bit about the Tachan. And Rabbi Gutman learned from the teaching of the Rebbe. And when I walked away thinking of those words, that Rabbi Gutman announced me as the chair of the Jewish Caucus, only a little over a year later, I was elected as the chair of the Jewish Caucus in the New York City Council. It's so important on day-to-day to have that faith that the Rebbe taught us. You have to have the bitachon, because without the bitachon, you will not succeed. And I am proud that learning from my Rabbi Gutman, the teaching of the Rebbe, that we need to take care of not only the firm, the Orthodox Jews here in New York City and beyond, but we need to take care of the non-firm people and also accommodate those Gentiles who have religious obligations here in New York City. So I am proud through the faith that I have in the Rebbeinu Shalom in God, that while people were talking about the 1,000 school children who are Jewish in our public school systems, providing them with kosher food, that I was able to get the first pilot program here in New York City to provide kosher food to our Jewish public school children. In addition to that, through the faith in God, we have beautiful waterfront area in our city. People always said, you will never have separate beach days to accommodate the Jewish community. And I am proud through my bitachon and the Rebbeinu Shalom and the teaching of the Rebbe, last year and this year, we had separate beach days for men and for women here in New York City. When New York City came out with a new portal to give us a hard time when it came to obtaining death certificates. We all know that in the Jewish community, for someone that is deceased, we need to bury that person within 24 hours. By having the faith in God and giving pushback here in New York City, we were able to accommodate and win the war against our city to make sure that death certificates are given out to our burial providers in a timely manner to make sure people get buried within 24 hours. As you know, in New York City, last year we had an influx of hate crimes by over 28% attacking Jewish people here in New York City. This year thus far, compared to the same time last year, we have a 58% increase of anti-Semitic hate crimes in our city. And I'm proud through my faith in God and through the teaching of the Rebbe and my Rabbi Gutman, that we were able to now obtain in the budget over $2 million for NYPD cameras around our houses of worship. We have also just last week begun our first pilot program working with the police commissioner and the New York City Police Department to have an expansion of an auxiliary program to protect our houses of worship here in New York City. Through my bill that was just passed just 6 months ago, we will now have Holocaust education throughout our community, as well as hate crime education throughout our school systems here in New York City. Finally, I just want to end off with 2 other points. There's this Jewish cop in the 60th precinct that approached me. And he said to me that there is an officer who was Jewish who got shot and killed in 1941 on Surf Avenue in West 12th Street. So he came over to me and asked me to do a street renaming, and I brushed him off. He came over to me a second time, and I said, we have to listen to the people. I put in the city council a bill to do a street renaming, and with the faith in God, I was able to locate his son, who is 85 years old, who lives in California, who will be flying in on July 15th to do a beautiful street renaming in memory of a loving Jewish officer, police officer, Leon Fox. When someone does a good deed, they don't do it for themselves. They do it to teach that person and others of what a good deed means and how it impacts one's life. After I sent out my social media about the street renaming on July 15th, I received an email. The email said, my name is Leon. I am 92 years old, and I remember police officer Leon Fox crossing me the streets back in 1941. Actually, before 19, he said 84 years ago. Actually, that was it. And I remember how he always had a smile on his face crossing the school children to attend the school. And this is years later. And he will be coming to the street renaming to speak about his experience in remembering someone more than 85 years ago. This is the impact that our Rebbe has taught us, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, that when you do small things in life by smiling to one another, by asking someone if they need a helping hand, this is the impact that people remember for the rest of their lives, and this is the lesson that we need to be taught. And finally, I just want to mention that everything in life, and I have seen it through my career, has a reason. It could be something that's large, it could be something that's small. This morning, I received a phone call at about 7:29. I did not hear my phone ring several times. I took my daughter yesterday to Pennsylvania. I got home at 4 o'clock in the morning. I usually get up early. This morning I slept in late. A few minutes after that, I received another phone call, and this time I turned around and I picked up my phone and looked at it, and it was Rabbi Gutman. And I thought to myself, that is my speaking engagement at the Ohel is supposed to be this morning or 7:30 in the evening. So I was embarrassed to pick up the phone, Rabbi, because I thought I missed coming to the Ohel. I thought it was 7:30 in the morning because the Rabbi called me a little past 7:30. But then I called back the rabbi a few minutes later and I said, yes, I'm going to be there tonight after the rabbi told me it's in the evening. I was totally relieved. But after I received the phone call from the rabbi, I decided, let me listen to the voicemail I received this morning from a phone call that I received 4 times before 7:30. It was a lady leaving a message who lives in Jersey, a Jewish lady. She left a message saying, I need a car to drive me somewhere. I'm not going to say where, to drive me somewhere. And please call me back. I need the car at 9:30 sharp. And this was 4 messages. And finally, after the rabbi alerted me of his phone call and I went back to listen to the message, I said, you know, it was a reason why the rabbi called me this morning at 7:30 in the morning. Because I am supposed to listen to that voicemail. We cannot let a second go by that this lady contacted the wrong person and speak bad about someone's panasa. And I replied to her and I said, sorry, wrong number. But keep on using the guy because it's not me. And she replied, thank you very much for your response. These are lessons in life that we need to learn, that everything has a reason, whether it's having faith in God, in the work we do each and every day, or doing that good deed, even that small smile to another person, to a child who remembers things from a young age, or looking at everything that happens to us in life, whether it's good or bad, because everything has a reason. It may not come out in 5 minutes when I received that phone call this morning. It may be years later, but it's all for the benefit. We need to learn these lessons that the Rebbe has taught us over the years and teach this to our children and grandchildren, because now it's important more than ever. When you see the things happening around our city and around our country, things aren't good. We need to keep on doing the good deeds, and this way we have the schus for all Klal Yisrael to continue rebuilding after everything we lost during the Holocaust. And God be upon us, and God bless you all, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
As you know, we call on Chaim Deutsch very often, and he's always there. As a token of our appreciation, we would like to present him. We were thinking, what can we give him tonight? The best thing we can give him is a picture of the Rebbe himself. It is our pleasure that Chaim, please, Rabbi Gold.
Allah ya yididam, Allah ya yididam, adadalalo. Thank you very much for bringing Chaim Deutsch here. I was very happy to hear about the many accomplishments that he's had in City Council. Let's hope and pray that was not here to give a bracha directly, but he should continue to have success in establishing laws that will make shmiras and mitzvahs much easier for all of us. My next introduction is truly a pleasure on a very personal level. I was asked to introduce to Shlomo Goldstein. We go back about 40 years to when Rabbi Goldstein was a yeshiva student and came out with Rabbi Baumgarten. Where's Rabbi Baumgarten? Label Baumgarten is here. And together, they literally were like Pied Pipers with hundreds of Jewish children throughout Suffolk County. And in fact, they made many friends and had tremendous influence on many families who had never ever been introduced to Lubavitch or to Orthodox Judaism. A couple of whom I invited to come here tonight is Lane Benoff here also. Lane, are you here? Rich Feldman. So his accomplishments in Suffolk County go back many years. Everybody here knows about what Rabbi Goldstein went through less than 2 months ago. And since then, his life has literally been a roller coaster. He just spoke last week at the United Nations for the General Assembly. He just came back from Brazil. His life has changed from one end to the other. And the shluchim from around the world have been very touched by how he has handled his situation. And I want to share with you something that personally affected me on a very deep level. But I haven't told this to Rabbi Goldstein, but I want to share with you now in front of our friends here as well. There was a conference call of Shluchim where Rabbi Goldstein spoke. And he talked then about the fact that there was a CNN or one of the major networks, a representative came to his home to interview him within a couple of weeks after the terrorist attack. And he answered all the questions. He explained everything very well, and then after the interview was finished, the reporter closed the mic and looked at Rabbi Goldstein and said to Rabbi Goldstein, I'm the guy that my network sends around to all these terrorist attacks, to all these things, all these mass killings all over the country. For the last 4 or 5 years, I've been to too many of these, and I've interviewed everybody who's involved in these situations, from the victims' families to the victims themselves. And I don't understand something, and I have to ask you a question. You're the first person that I've met who was a victim of a terrorist attack that didn't miss a beat and went right into the mode of being able to jump to the cause, of answer the call, of being able to respond the way you responded. And I have no idea how you've done that, because everybody else that I've spoken to all these years was truly a victim, and it took them months, if not years, to recover from a terrorist attack like you experienced. Especially since you yourself were actually hit by the terrorist. So my question to you is, how did you do this? What is your secret? And Rabbi Goldstein, without blinking an eye, in his living room, turned around and pointed to the picture of the Rebbe. The Rebbe is my inspiration. And I'm going to share how that affected me personally. Because I think that for many of us, we learn Hasidus, all those who are here, perhaps you go to classes, you learn from the rabbis and the Rebbitzins, you are affected by the Rebbe's teachings. But do you ever ask yourself the question, how deeply affected am I really, how deeply affected am I by all that I'm learning? Have I become a different person? Have I changed? Is my pneumius, is my innermost self really touched by the teachings that I'm excited by and I love. And we wonder to ourselves, if I was ever really put up against the law, put to the test, how would I respond? Would I respond like I was years ago? Or would I respond in a new way, the way I am with this new knowledge and inspiration I have from my teachings from the Rebbe? Rabbi Goldstein, it's an honor to have you here and to introduce you, because I think in my mind, and I believe in the minds of everybody here, you have risen to the occasion. You have passed that test with tremendous accolades, and we all saw your panemius, your innermost soul coming out as you responded to the terrorist event that you experienced. Thank you, and please come to the podium. Please stand for Rabbi Goldstein.
Thank you very much. Life is about completing circles. Yes, indeed, Rabbi Leibel Baumgarten and I were yeshiva bachrim when we first started on Long Island. It warms my heart so much to see one of my campers from 1977, Richie Feldman, right here. Hashem should bless you and heal your heart for many long happy years to come. Today's event is by Tzirei Agudas Chabad, Tzach. To me that means a lot, because I grew up in a home with my late father and mother, Rabbi and Rebbitzin, Uncle Yossi Goldstein. But what it meant to me was growing up when Rabbi Kasriel Castell would call up my mother sometimes 10 minutes before Shabbos. Can you have guests? There's a Pagisha, we need extra room. And then a Malava Malka. And my father worked on many, many events on behalf of Tzach, but they were the true trailblazers of Mitzrayim. And here what we have today. And my connection to Long Island goes complete circle from 1977 till today. So I'm very honored and humbled, and I'm very grateful that you have invited me to be here with you today. I want to share with you a first-hand, some behind the scenes, and some thoughts. Today I was walking on Kingston Avenue. One of my old yeshiva friends meet me, and he put his hands on my shoulders, and he said a blessing with Hashem's name. And he said the blessing, Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam, Shechiyonu v'Kimonu v'Dionu v'Zman Hazeh. And he gave me a big hug and a kiss. And he says, Rabbi, I'm saying this because it's a deserving moment. And it's a blessing that we say at the holidays. It's a blessing that we say at special events. But when we say it, do we think it? Do we live it? Do we feel it? 66 days ago, the last day of Pesach. It was a very special day, personally for myself. Growing up in Crown Heights, growing up with the Rebbe, we knew the Rebbe's compass was one goal. Let's get the world ready so Mashiach can come. From when he was a little child, that was his dream. I grew up with the Rebbe, and I wanted to be part of that dream. But I knew once a year, the last day of Pesach, the last day of Passover, is a day dedicated to just that. The Baal Shem Tov set it in motion that the first 7 days of Passover is about the past, the last is about the future. The Haftorah the Rebbe would read, he would read it with such emotion. He would sob, cry through it. Tears of anguish of our 2,000 years of suffering, tears of hope that yet we are all to see the Mashiach come. 66 days ago, I was planning to read the Haftorah. I never got to do it. Life changed for me, for our community, and for perhaps the Jewish world in a very different way. What happened was, for a very short moment, a terrorist entered our Chabad center. I just happened to be standing, and some people told me, Rabbi, I'm so sorry, you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. Reality is, I was in the right place at the right time. I was standing right there in the lobby of our Chabad house when I just turned for a second and I heard these horrific gunshots. And I turn around and I'm looking down the barrel of a rifle. I'm looking at a young terrorist who just breached the walls of our Chabad house. Our Chabad house that we built 33 years ago. Our Chabad house that's a home, a haven of love, where you go to get a hug of God. And here is an evil terrorist, a darkness that you just cannot imagine. But this is all unfolding in seconds, in milliseconds. He sees me, I see him. He lifts up his rifle to shoot at me. I hear children playing behind me. I hear the beautiful angelic voices. What do